Okay. Ah, fuck you. Okay, hopefully just sending this out to people. Okay. He's kind of being a bitch trying to schedule this. All right, let me know if there's anybody here. Let's see what I got here. Never done this before, so that seems to work. Okay. All right, let's see if anybody chimes in. Let me see. All right, might sense to one more person. Oh, come on. Make things difficult. Okay. Trying to schedule a thing that. Okay. Gonna wait till somebody comes in here. Yeah, my altar raven just passed away like a few days ago, and I thought the rehoming would be more intense, but I'm definitely getting all kinds of memories and shit. All right, hold on. Damn, nature's calling. Probably should not drink so much goddamn coffee. Yeah, I'll probably see some comments in there when this is done. People are the first couple of minutes is like, nice intro, dude. Okay. Tried to schedule this in advance and want to default into like streaming software, which, all right, aside from Zoom, I don't know. It's being a bitch. Be nice if I could screen share, record that. So let me see. Tag somebody. All right. So, yeah, I wish this thing would give me advanced options. Can I screen share? Okay, let me see. Facebook notification. You know what? Make just easy so I don't get too distracted. Let me see. Ah. The hell? I'm trying to hit reply and it's. The hell's with the goddamn thing's frozen? Oh, jeez. Okay. That's fucking irritating. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully, I get somebody in on in the chat here. But yeah, when I was in served in Dark Fleet, there are two female alters that I know of, and there's which would be Tanya and Raven, and there is a possibility that there could be a third one named Autumn, or that could have been one of Tanya's undercover personas. So that I'm not too sure of. Either way, it wouldn't surprise me. Jesus Christ, I wish I could figure out how to screen share on this. All right, what do we got here? I'll figure it out. But yeah, basically, like any experiment, you have a control. You have one for a control, one for the experiment. In this case, you know, Raven was the experiment, Tanya was the control. Because Raven was basically an experimental cyborg, and how she got her name was she got sick and tired of her handler referring to her by her serial number, UB186. She's like, shit, I deserve a name. It's like, you're a piece of equipment. You have a serial number. Oh, yeah, what do you call Project Ravenous Avenger? Just call me Raven for short. So, hey, good for her. She claimed her sovereignty. Let me see if I can. This is ridiculous. Okay. This is fucking ridiculous. All right. Okay, say something in the chat so I know you're here. Okay. Hopefully, there's some people might join this. Like I said, this is the first time I've actually done a live stream, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's probably not the best idea to drink a bunch of coffee. All right. Well, while I'm waiting, um, do a quick impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I was in the SSP. And by about half a dozen altars that educated guess, around that number, because like, and it can be really confusing trying to figure out which memories from whom. Um, but apparently, what it is for whatever reason, they'll take like a dude basically and put them in a female body. Usually has to do with espionage uh, functions, um, or intelligence aspects. Which is interesting how things kind of like fall through. Um, there's an individual who was basically a spy master in Darkfleet, went by the code name Priest, who was one of Tanya's main intel contacts. Now, educated guess this individual um, might have had a female alter and a more recent alter, because like Tanya was my last 20 and back. In fact, my earliest cognitive memory is being sent back here. Uh, I yeah. If you see my interviews on other people's channels, you probably heard this before. Um, but my earliest cognitive memory is basically being strapped down to a metal chair, and in this room where the walls were backlit, solid white, so you couldn't tell how the shape or the size of the room. If you ever seen the movie THX 1138, it's kind of like the insane asylum scene. It's basically what that room looked like. And there are three Asian men wearing surgical scrubs, and one of them walks up to me and shines what looks like a red laser in my right eye. And next thing I know, I basically experienced a quantum leap style zap. And I was 3 years old in mid stride with my mom calling for me outside. So, you know, um, Jesus Christ. I tried to schedule it, and like I said, this thing's being a bitch. I might try again later and see if anybody comes in. Hold on. Let's see what my Facebook friends are up to. A bunch of likes. Let me see. All right, let me see. Yeah, if anybody's watching this, please say something in the chat so I know that I'm not just talking to myself. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. People talk about like being in the SSP. They're like, "Where's the proof? Where's the proof?" Med beds. SSP whistleblowers have been talking about that shit for nearly a decade, and now, oh, Marvel's new technology. All right, whenever you see some brand new tech coming out, and it's chances are it's been around for decades, and it's just recently been declassified. Hold on a sec. Yeah. Hope you guys can't hear that. Yeah. All right. Hey, what's up? Yeah. So, hello, Angel. Um, so yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, people keep talk about the SSP. Like, where's the proof? Where's the proof? I had this conversation with my cousin one time. It's like, dude, I sent you declassified CIA documents. I sent you schematics for TRV. I told you about were to look for the Gary McKenna hack, how much fucking proof do you need? Now, the thing, what to look for, like I said, some brand new, marvelous technology when SSP whistleblowers have been talking about it for nearly a decade. So, that's proof in itself. But, yeah, one thing to consider is, the Roswell crash isn't the beginning, but it's a good starting point. Been back engineering that shit for nearly 80 years. Got integrated circuits, UV night vision, lasers. See what else? Fiber optics, integrated circuits, and Velcro. All right. Doesn't take a genius to figure out what else to back engineer the weapons and propulsion systems. Normies think the common cold is worse than the bubonic plague. All right. It's sad. It's pretty sad when you realize that the average intelligence is an IQ of 100. It's or some people just believe the mainstream narrative no matter how fucking ridiculous it is. People are brainwashed. What can I say? It's fucking mind control in action. Once people jump like sheep. Anyways, what's interesting on the subject of Raven, it's interesting that this alpaca sweater does resemble a Mintakan cloak. Not the same pattern, but kind of resembles it. Isn't 100 a high number? I don't know. Just try having a logical argument with a sci-fi fan about SSP tech and see how far that goes. You think science fiction, especially science fiction writers, would be higher than the average, or science fiction fans? They're the least like the most closed-minded fucks you've ever met. I remember, and I'm not gonna necessarily diss. Some of them are open-minded, but like this guy's like, hey, I want any ideas for like some hard science? Doing something that takes place 100 years from now on Mars. I'm like, he's talking about rocket propulsion. I'm like, dude, anti-gravity. Okay, because no, I'm talking about hard science. I'm like, dude, I can point you to all kinds of science publications. Okay, not even like declassified shit, but I could point that out to you too. All right. I like the coat, by the way, too. Hey. Yeah, it's still kind of getting cold right now because I also live at a really high elevation. So thinking hard, like, is TMI, Angel? No, hard as in real. You honestly, look, if you think the shit they teach you in school is hard science, I have 3 words for you: Common Core math. If you really wanted to, 2 plus 2 can equal 5. So yeah. So yeah, or especially when I tell them, I remember, I believe it was Space Opera Group, and I told them, yeah, I actually served in the SSP, and people were giving me all kinds of shit. It's like, look, you motherfuckers are jealous because I've actually lived your science fiction fantasies. Well, okay, there's a reason why right brain they recruit mostly right brain people in the SSP, with a few exceptions. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but from what I've observed, Ileana seems to be kind of left brain ish. It's not a bad thing. All right. Um, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ileana. I um, it's just an observation. But anyways, the reason why they typically recruit people who are right brained is because they want people who are creative. It goes with the psionic abilities. Plus, the left side, shit. I can compensate for that now. It's called a goddamn calculator. Okay, we got neural implants that that take care of the high end math for us, or we have, or the glass pads in some cases, or depending on which faction or where you serve in Dark Fleet. Brazers, which are used mostly in I think Nachtwaffen and JDFC for the maintenance crew, but the YNK is like standard issue. That's they have it instead of the glass pads because it's one less thing to carry around if you have it strapped onto your forearm. And I gotta leave it to the Japanese. Um, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? To be very practical. So yeah, so I did I guess I think I have about maybe a half dozen alters that I'm aware of. I'm not sure, um, but that's what it feels. And here's the thing: is 13 cubed or 2100 is like the maximum amount that a person could possibly have. But there's the thing about with alters in the source code is there's like only so much life force to go around. So somebody have that maximum amount in the here and now, their source code would be dead within like a couple of years, which is probably why most people, the majority of them, have like maybe a few dozen at the most. Interesting, yeah. Raven's transition. It's very subtle. I think. Well, Raven is aware of like Tanya's transition was really traumatic. Well, Tanya had a near-death experience that caused quantum entanglement with my life here, and like basically her personality took over, and so basically for 5 years in the here and now, I was Tanya, and it caused all kinds of havoc. You know, during a very critical time in my life. And like I said, Raven, I think, she knew that this was going to happen. And so I'm guessing, knowing her abilities, she did it. The rehoming process is like done in a way that's not traumatic. I'm getting a bunch of like flashes and stuff about like Mintaka. So right, yeah, I felt like the etheric form of some of her cybernetic implants kind of merge into me. So be interesting when those things get activated. Oh, yeah, Raven at one point had a third eye implant. Um, I think she might have had it removed because she no longer needed it. Like she could harness his abilities without it after she ended up um, basically converting to the Mitakan faith. But that's probably, I don't know if you can see it, where this scar came from. Because I've had this my whole life. I have no idea where it came from, but it's right over the third eye, right in the pineal gland. It's almost like something was injected. Maybe maybe nanites. Who knows? What did the implant do? It took this little gland underneath the third eye and basically amped it up. That's what it did. Hold on. Back in a second. As soon as I figure out what. Here it is. Okay. You know what? I'm going to open a window because I don't want my landlord smell this one. I get the light bulb replaced. All right. The implant. Okay. Yeah. It's as soon as I figure out like the quirks about the live streaming, I'll probably use Zoom or something where I can screen share at a later time. Because I do got a lot of artwork related to the whole SSP thing. Hold on. So, okay. Who? Okay. See, I got. Wait, hold on. Sorry about the distraction here. I keep getting these notifications. Where the fuck are they coming from? Hold on. Hopefully this thing will quit bitching out on me. All right. Yo, that was you, wasn't it? Fubard, huh? Yep. It's funny that Fubar comes from the Second World War, and people think that that generation was so innocent. Fubar means fucked up beyond all recognition. So hey, my grandparents' generation were pretty cool. Yeah, they weren't as innocent as people thought they are. Let's put it that way. So yeah, yeah. I wish I had hair to twirl. I don't know. Yeah, I got my hair is going through this Arnold Schwarzenegger phase right now. So do a quick impression. For some reason, I'm trying to grow the mutton chops, and for some reason, it makes my face look like Arnie. Don't ask me why, but there you go. I'll be back. Which is ironic because I have like almost the opposite build of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Ah, shit. What's going on now? All right. Like, see that, or quit switching back to the All right, James. What? Live streaming not available? Um, Angel, can you do me a favor and tag Mr. James? Hold on. I'm gonna voyeurs in the rafters. Who else is in? So far, you're the only one. Hold on. Let me copy and paste this. And okay. He says it won't work. It's working for. You know, there's one way to find out. I'm gonna see if it works on my phone. About this website. I know. Okay. Hold on. Sorry about the lag here. Continue. Yes. Oh, Jesus. Do I have to really? Okay. Okay, dude, are use another device. Okay. Sorry about that. Right. I don't think everybody left. I think you know YouTube is being a bitch. That's what I think is going on. Then see if I can make some smoke rings while I'm at it. You're calling me old? No, I'm not calling you old. Did I say old? When did I say old? Okay. You do it right. It'd probably help if I didn't have this window open, but do it right. You can get like a perfect smoke ring. So, anyways, yeah, Raven, that, you know, right when she was slipping away, I felt her slipping, and telepathically, I was embracing her, and telling her it's like, Raven, I love you, um, and I'm not clairaudient, all right, so keep this in mind, but I heard her voice, um, say, very clearly in my head saying, I love you, and that was coming from Raven, and it must have taken the last ounce of strength she had to tell me that. So, you know, she's an amazing person. Um, very beautiful soul, and now that is part of me. Yeah, like Raven was practically at death's door, and like I said, I'm not clairaudient, so I asked help from somebody, um, And Raven took upon herself to heal this person. She was like delusional from fever, um, and that might have had something to do with it. But like I said, Raven was practically at death's door, and she decided that she needed to heal this person. That's like one of the most selfless things I've ever known of. That I can imagine. Um, just kind of shows the tell speaks volumes of Raven's character. Um, so yeah, Raven was an experimental cyborg, and before anybody came in, does how many people are watching this? Okay, it looks like another person chimed in. And hey, say hello. Did I mention it's probably a bad idea to consume a lot of coffee when sitting down in front of a live stream? It probably is. So if you'll excuse me for a few seconds, hopefully. Hopefully you can't hear that. Yeah. All right. Hey, you're awake. Yeah. Cats are such beautifully lazy creatures, aren't they? Yeah, unfortunately, it says two, and I see a thumbs up. That's cool. All right. So it was interesting. I was remote viewing Raven's funeral procession, which is on Mintaka Prime, and how am I going to describe it? Like, I guess they put her urn inside something that looked like a casket. It's like smaller. It's kind of almost like a rounded off box, if you can imagine that, with some white. It was white colored with some ornate, writing on it. Of course, I have no idea what's written. No, I said foobar. Fucked up beyond all recognition. Anyways, and it almost looked like it was, not a gurney, but how would you describe, how pallbearers carry a casket, but it was flat and it held this thing, and they're wearing kind of typical brown color hooded cloaks, and in either hand they had a staff. And I don't want to call it a flag, but it was like a kind of triangular shaped thing, and at the top is flat, kind of white, had a frame in there, holding on either side, going down. Looked like a street. It's pretty crowded too. So that was interesting. Yeah, from what I managed to get from Raven is that she basically had her body cremated to the point where there's no retrievable DNA. actually right before she passed, she had her cybernetic limbs basically melted down, and requested anything that survived the cremation also be melted down because she doesn't want any part of her falling into the wrong hands. She was designed to be basically the ultimate living weapon. So, you know, she wanted, like I said, she wanted to make sure that no part of her could be used for malintent. Happy Heart. Yeah, it was. But at the same time, um, she's able. Okay, there's this Mintakan proverb that hit Raven like a ton of bricks the first time she heard it, and rough translation, something like, "In the infinite symphony of creation, all of us have our song to sing," and it's kind of like the slogan on their, sing your song. Almost like you go to Costa Rica, say "Pura Vida." You know, I, it, obviously it's in Mintakan, but that's what it translates to. So that's why I said, like, that's why chat's called like Raven's song. She wants her story to be told, and she wants people to know about her adopted homeworld. And if you were to like ask Raven what her nationality is, she'd tell you she's Mintakan, not Terran. You know, she went totally native, including converting to the Mintakan faith. And some of the core tenets that hold on, jeez, I'm getting distracted. All right, why are you having problems keeping the window open? Okay, are you still there? Um, all right, hopefully somebody else. It says two people who. There's no way to click on it. Okay, unless it's me and the person in the comments. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. This is, it's probably like, okay, beginner's luck. This is the first time I've done a live stream, so probably everything that can go wrong will go wrong. What do I got? Okay, somebody is live now on Facebook. Jeez. I probably should have tried that. I wonder if I can do both at the same time. Let me try that. Do it on Facebook as well. Let's see if I. Let me try that. Yeah, let's do create room. What the hell? And it's being a bitch. All right. So, yeah, Mintaka. Mintaka is basically a desert planet. What reminds me the most of, if you've seen either Star Trek Enterprise or the 2009 Star Trek reboot, the way they depicted Vulcan, it reminds me a lot of that. Well, the wealthier parts do. Some of the slummier areas remind me a lot of Tatooine from Star Wars. Also, I want to see how the new version of Dune depicts the city of Arrakeen. I wonder how close Mintaka that is, because there are definitely some similarities in the 1984 version of Dune. Um, but I definitely like to see how the new one uh, looks, because there's definitely, when I saw the trailer, definitely had some like Orionite looking symbology. You've never seen Dune? Well, you're gonna have to set aside a good part of the day to watch it, because if you really want to understand the plot, you need to watch the director's cut, which is like 4 hours long. So, you ever seen the book? It's like this thick. It's fucking ridiculous. But here's the interesting thing about Dune is, um, Zachariah Sitchin was an Illuminati hack. He deliberately misinterpreted that shit. Um, but Frank Herbert had a much more creative way. He just flipped the date and made it a sci-fi story. So if you take 10,192 BC and you figure Arrakis equals Iraq, which is Mesopotamia, look at the symbology. Um, but yeah, that's actually the real story of the Anunnaki. Is Dune. Pay attention to all the players are there. So, let me see. Okay, yeah, the cat's asleep. I am so tempted. Where the right here. All right. Normally, I try to wait an hour before I smoke another cigarette, but I'm bored. I'm kidding. All right. Now here's a challenge. I dare anybody else to try to do this. All right, want to see? Please send me a ping. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Okay. There. All right. Bing! Bing! And doing an impression of a submarine. Now, there's some antiquated technology. Um, yeah, you know that. Yeah, I know you know this, but do your Jedi mind trick. Um, that only works if I have a person to do that to. I I don't know, like maybe if I like do the hidden camera thing with my phone and I go outside, I might be able to do it on some people. But no, I don't like to abuse that persuasion. Um, yeah, the power of persuasion, and that's a lot of people who it's one of the easiest psionic abilities to abuse, because a lot of people don't realize they're doing it when they're doing it. You know, um, Now I pulled a Jedi mind trick on a few cops before, and sometimes if some baseline is in my way, I use it to get them out of my way. But for the most part, it feels like I'm taking advantage of children, and I really hate that feeling. I don't like using people like that. So, if I have to, I will. But here, like I said, that's another thing about the power of persuasion. is once you recognize that somebody's using it on you, you're immune to it. Because, like I said, as long as somebody doesn't know that's what you're doing, then you can pull it off. Eyeball trick. Eyeball trick. This is my eyeball trick. Here's another one I used to freak out my teachers with when I was in grade school. Yeah! So yeah. So anyways, back to the subject. Yeah, you tried that on some people, especially like you know the really the offended crowd. Watch how they react. Hey, do a Facebook live stream if you're gonna mess with people like that. Be entertaining. So yeah, you know, a couple months ago, I ended up donating blood because universal donor. Now, whoever ended up receiving my blood also had the added benefits of getting my nanites, which means um, better bone density. Probably it depends on how old they are. Probably slow down their aging process. You know, much higher pain threshold and healing a lot faster. So, um, you know, sometimes I hope I get some good karma points for that at least. It'd be interesting because like eye hockey, eyeball trick. What? Eye hockey? What the fuck is eye hockey? You know, I mean, aside from getting it like hit in the face with a hockey puck, which I can't admit, I would not consent to that. Well, the better question is, what would you consent to? You forgot your. What eye tricks are you talking about? I mean, this one. The independent eye movement, which is really good if you have two weapons trainers. Yeah, it was little genetic quirks that they have. Hey, what's up, dude? Hey, hey, Baka Peter, right? Is that the right pronunciation? Um, okay. So, okay. Input because you know a lot about like Indian mysticism and stuff like that. So, like one of the core tenets of the Mentakan faith is to never knowingly harm an innocent and to never knowingly allow an innocent to come to harm. Should that happen, balance must be maintained. Um, which was one of Raven's main reasons for going after her and Tanya's mutual handler, Felicity. Because Felicity was primarily responsible for getting Tanya terminated, and Raven. Now, here's the thing about Raven is, her stealth capabilities are like second to none, and she managed to, at the base of Spire's. It means if somebody deliberately harms an innocent, they need to be taken care of. I'm getting to that. Think for it. So, anyways, Raven managed to sneak onto, I think the base of Spire 6, which is, for all intents and purposes, there's 7 spires on Corellia, which is basically Earth 2. I forget exactly which star system it is. I'll have to ask Johan next time I have the opportunity to talk to him. But I think it's Gliese 186. It's where the Hubble Space Telescope is aimed primarily. You makes you wonder why, huh? So it seems like the fake space agency is keeping eyes on the real one. But anyways, back to so Rick basically went after Felicity, and all intents and purposes gave her the death of 1,000 cuts. And if you've seen my artwork depiction of Raven, you've seen those claws and that tail she has. But before delivering the fatal blow, Raven basically brain drained her, and which is one of the nastiest skills that she has. Basically, taking these 2 fingers with, you've seen Raven's claws, they're this fucking long, basically into both temples, and basically draining everything the individual knows. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure after somebody discovered what was left of Felicity, that there are probably a few discrete celebrations that happened in Darkfleet. So, all right, hold on a second. Per Angel's request, see what should I play. There we go.
Good grammar and spelling are important.
Nobody gives a shit.
But if you want to write essays that inspire,
Okay.
Feeling the way that I'm feeling myself, or everyone else. Gotta remember that nobody's better than anyone else here. It needs some time to think it over. Look what they do to you, look what they do to me. Must be joking if you think that either one is free here. Get up off your knees.
I just had to pause it after that guitar thing. uh, okay, why was she so evil? She working. She was could a conniving bitch, basically. You know, um, she well, okay, and this is like coming secondhand from Johan, but apparently she tried to pull the honeypot thing on him. It didn't work. Um, and apparently she's putting the moves on the old man. I forget exactly all the drama that's involved, but Tanya got mixed up in that and ended up taking the fall. And knowing her, she would probably do that to protect her captain. But yeah, there's a bunch of bullshit in that. You know, Felicity was like basically, um, you know, you heard like really corrupt, evil CIA agents. Just imagine the Dark Fleet version of that. But yeah, Felicity, when Raven was first activated, was constantly referring to her by her serial number, which was UV186, and Raven just got sick of it because it's insulting. You know, it's like degrading. And she's like, "Now I deserve to have a name." And Felicity's like, "You're a piece of equipment. You don't have a name. You have a serial number." And Raven's like, "Oh, really? Aren't I called Project Ravenous Avenger? Just call me Raven for short." And you can't argue that logic, you know. So, you know, okay, you know, good for Raven for standing up for her sovereignty, you know. Um, you know, she, like I said, as far as working, no, actually, we're part of Felicity worked directly under the old man who was part of the 20% Nachtwaffen and JDFC, who didn't want anything to do with our reptilian overlords or the Black Goo, which is what led up to the quantum entanglement between me and Tanya. Is that the Lyrans developed basically an antidote for the Black Goo, and Tanya went undercover as a Lyran handmaiden, and you know she made contact with what it was is it was a coronation, basically, you know, the Lyran aristocracy, and her, you know, contact managed to steal like basically a vial of this kind of chartreuse green gas that basically neutralized the Black Goo, and you know everything was going off fine. You know, she got what she needed. She was about to slip out, and that's when somebody decided this was the opportune time to pull off a coup. And it ended up turning into a Mexican standoff. And I remember it's interesting, like Tanya grabbed her contact and basically kind of faked the hostage thing. You know, it's like one weapon pointed at her and one weapon pointed, you know, it's like, nobody move or I'm going to splatter her blue blood all over the floor. Then the Praetorian Guard stormed in and the shit hit the fan. Tanya got captured and basically was basically hauled off to Hammerhead Station, which is like a Draco maximum security prison, where she was repeatedly raped and tortured because they wanted to retrieve that shit. Okay, before this happened, basically they were serving as basically an appetizer during the coronation ceremony. There's a type of fruit, kind of long in skin, but almost like the size of a small jalapeno. And you know, it's very easy to peel the outer layer off, and it was kind of slimy. It had a little pit in the middle, which is very easy to squeeze out, which is the perfect size for that little vial. And she basically found a very discreet place to basically use it as a suppository. And that was the one place those Draco didn't think to look. But yeah, you know, they really fucked her up, but she never broke, not once. And then Johann came in and basically, killed those Draco, and then through a localized wormhole and pulled her back onto Franklin. And now, what I do remember from that is being held in like the fireman's hold until getting on the ship. There was like a gurney waiting, and normally you can't hear the sound of the pulse engines. You can feel it, but you can't hear it because normally there's all the commotion going on, But when Tanya was brought back on board the ship, everybody was just in stunned silence. And the first thought in my head was, I heard the sound of the pulse engines, and it's kind of like this. When the ship is idling, the first thought that came to mind was, wow, that's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Of all the things to think about after going through that. Actually, the old man probably promoted him for killing a Draco. Or at least like put a recommendation in on his record. But yeah, and also like I know Raven knew about Tanya because there's several times, especially when the Franklin was docked, Raven would sneak on board and slip some, it was like little data cylinders with a little sticky note, Tanya LaRue, FEYO, for your eyes only. And of course, Raven and Tanya had the exact same handwriting. So you can imagine seeing, somebody dropping off information, discreetly dropping off intelligence in your own handwriting. That would probably freak you out too. But yeah, Tanya had a mysterious benefactor, and Raven, as far as she's concerned, Tanya was her sister. So I'm not sure how much. I think Tanya did encounter Raven a few times. I'm not exactly sure on that because like I got conflicting memories between the two of them. Yeah, it was a nasty place. Baca, look up Johann's interviews when he talked about that. It's like I don't remember the detail he was. Of course. Now here's the thing: the way I did the memory recall, I would not recommend unless you know a lot of people who knew you in the service, because Liz is. I found a dentist who uses hypnosis on his patients instead of anesthesia. And I told him that, that I highly suspect I was in the SSP, and he was kind of curious to find out himself. So, he put me under hypnosis, and he said, "You will remember everything." Johann mentioned any of the prisoners were kept in cryostasis there. I don't believe so. I know for a fact that Tanya wasn't in cryostasis. She was chained to a wall. But I think, yeah, they do put people in cryostasis as, so because you don't want to kill an asset because their consciousness is rehome back to another clone body. So, but they might have stored her in cryostasis until they tried to interrogate her. But yeah, that's one thing. For me, like it's interesting. Because I asked Johan, what do you think Tanya's crowning achievement was? And he's like delivering the antidote for the black goo. Me, the way I look at it, I think her crowning achievement was going through all that and not breaking. For me, that takes balls of steel. But yeah, Tanya definitely had a flair for the dramatic when it came to interrogating people. There was an incident, and Johan happened to be off the ship and was his first officer who was in charge. And Johan was pretty much immune to Tanya's power of persuasion, but apparently this guy wasn't. And they had a prisoner who was trained to resist being interrogated. So, Tanya kind of figured this might take a little extra. So she basically, first thing she did, she went down to sick bay and then she, in full dominatrix regalia, okay, like I think she had like a V thong on, which is basically just imagine taking a thong, like a latex thong, and having that cover the entire suit with nothing on the side, and a pair of thigh-high stiletto boots, and a finger gauntlet on her pinky with a sonic blade coming out the end. And she basically, had the guy tied down to an interrogation chair, straddle the guy. It's like, now you're going to tell me that information. That's, oh, no, I'm not. The wrong answer. Now, tell me again. Apparently, when she was done, walked up to that exo, looked in the blow for fingers, cake covered in blood, by the way. Got the intel. Johan got back, and she spent the night in the brig because she wasn't properly in her uniform. So it's like, damn. So yeah, that's one of the. I think that I'm kind of proud of Tanya for doing that, because that was definitely some outside the box thinking. Got the job done, didn't I? Ah, shit! You kidding me? Yeah, Tanya spoke with a southern accent, which I think is genetic memory, because they use genetic material from Betty Page. The notorious 50s pinup model. And some of that, like, genetic memory must have transferred through as well. Because, like I said, Tanya spoke with a southern accent, which creeps in a lot when I speak. Especially, like, people who had, like, video, who had, like, Facebook calls with me, kind of hear that, like, southern drawl kind of sneak in when I'm trying to talk. So, it's like, now I know where the hell that came from. When I was about 12, 13, I used to watch The Fall Guy on a regular basis. I've heard all kinds of accents, including southern ones. But for some reason, it's Heather Thomas from The Fall Guy. Her, not only that pick up her accent, it stuck. It just kept coming through. Now, what's interesting is like genetic memory coming like full circle when quantum entangled with Tanya. S&M is a major turn off for me. And I felt like I was the only person living in San Francisco who was not into that shit. Hey, look. Oh, we had another person in here. Looks like they left. Um, yeah, that sucks. But anyways, yeah, the interesting thing about the quantum entanglement is that it affected me physically too. Like, you know, yes, I went through my TG phase. San Francisco isn't normal. That's like the understatement of the decade. All right. Anybody want to recommend any funny smoking tricks while I'm gonna inhale this sucker down? No, San Francisco isn't normal by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, San Francisco, there's a lot of weird shit in that. I don't know about W. Um, I know for a fact that 41 knew about the shit, especially since he was involved in the CIA and he was directly involved in the Kennedy assassination. Uh, which, you know, what you should do is watch the full, unedited, uncropped Zapruder footage, and you could see the driver. They shot Kennedy and they missed with the original, like the first. You know, it was triangular. There were multiple people shooting. Um, when that didn't work, you can see the driver pull out a gun, turn around. And if you know anything about ballistics, if Kennedy was shot from behind, a little hole in the back of his head would be really small, and it'd be the front of his head exploded. The other way around, you tell he shot from the front because a little hole here, and you see the back of his head go. Yeah, you've seen the strobe camera picture of a bullet going through an apple. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, look at that if you get the chance. All right. I wish I had some good pyrokinesis. This would be more enjoyable. All right. Can't really see it in the light. Yeah, the driver. Yeah. So, anyways, we're talking about. Now, one thing I do know, you're talking about like well-known people involved in the SSP, the Fox News Night Team. All four of them were high-ranking ICC executives, and like Sean Hannity, for example, he was in charge of colony housing. He was a slumlord then. He's a slumlord now. Things that part didn't change. Hey, Leslie, what's up? Listen, just for a few minutes. We're talking about my altars, my female altars in Darkfleet. Yeah. I can honestly, yeah, I know what it's like to be a woman because I've been two that I know of. Yeah, when the quantum entanglement happened, basically when Tanya, basically her personality completely took over between the ages of 21 and 26, roughly. Like, even in San Francisco, she rarely ever got read. Like, you know, that level of passive Okay. Transgender connection. Okay. Did that? See, this shit always happens to me when I do live streams. I always get interference with the Wi-Fi. I ended up calling on a show where there was an interview with Andrew Passaggio, and I was constantly getting cut off on the Skype call, and Andrew Passaggio thought they were censoring him, and it's like, dude, just like, especially if you go back to the a reality brief interviews I did, it's like my internet every time I talk about this shit, my internet all of a sudden cuts out, slows down. It's like, could it have something to do with the fact that I was Dark Fleet military intelligence? So yeah, um, so yeah, like, and I think there's a large genetic transfer because like I'm 5'7", like 125 pounds. Like, you kind of see like how small my feet are. Okay, which is the perfect size for a female. Which contributed to that. And like I said, if I can figure out how to energy vampires drain my battery all the time. Yeah. Well, for right now, like, the battery on my laptop needed to be replaced, and right now it's just plugged in. It's probably not the best thing for it, but the replacement battery should be here hopefully soon. That okay? It's off topic. But yeah, Tanya had, like I said, the exact because they used genetic material from Betty Page. She had identical measurements, which was 36D 2336. You know, so she had a nice hourglass figure. Although I think after recovering from that incident with the Draco, I think she probably did put on some weight where she's like closer to being pear shaped. I figure like I'm 5'7", so the female version of me is probably shorter, probably maybe 5'4", 5'3", maybe. Now, from the ICC, one of her the assignment she was on was she's supposed to basically assassinate the leadership of the Orion priesthood, and for lack of a better way to explain it, they're basically the real life version of the Jedi or the Sith, depending on which faction. And I think she succeeded in taking out a few of them, but this one individual, who's actually one of the more benevolent of the Mentakan priesthood, like, she went after this person, and this individual child protected their parent with their own body, and Raven just could not bring herself to do that. She mostly broke down, but then, I mean, she failed in her mission, right? So the ICC basically sent the deactivation code, and all of Raven's systems started shutting down, and she was near death, and she begged this person, please, I beg for asylum, help me. And they did. And the first time in her existence, Raven experienced love and compassion. And she embraced that to the fullest extent, and she went completely native. She converted to the Mentakan faith and ended up becoming a cleric and she worked her. She you know never got any special treatment. And the thing about like the Ryan priesthood, she was actually evenly matched. You know, so even though her psionic abilities are like off the chart compared to like your regular SSP asset, um, she's among equals, and she started out as an initiate, became an adept, an apprentice, and then became a priestess. Um, and they don't have sexual hangups like you think of like a religious order like they do on Earth. And what it is, I was talking to Johan about Tanya and about like the quantum entanglement, and there was an incident that happened that correlated with the trauma that Tanya faced when she was captured by the Draco. And what happened is basically in the here and now, Tanya was with basically the real life version of Buffalo Bill Killer, if you've seen Silence of the Lambs. Well, this person slit their wrist right in front of her, and that almost like I said, it almost shattered Tanya's essence. Um, and Raven intervened for about a week. Raven's personality came through, and I was talking to Johan about this. I realized, holy shit, Raven had a completely different personality than Tanya did, and I mean, it made me realize this is a completely different alter. So on a hunch, I remote viewed Raven, and she recognized me, and that's when I realized, oh God, Raven was real. And so I met this individual who's clairaudient, and this person's mindset was almost identical to where mine was when I was quantum entangled with my female alters. So Raven really liked this individual a lot. So we started, this, Raven did her passive mind meld thing, which Raven doesn't channel or didn't channel because it's unethical. Taking over somebody's body basically. Where Raven would do. I think all of us. Actually, the better term is genetic augment. Leslie, because like hybrids have a much higher concentration of ET genetics, and especially with the Draco, it means they're basically mentally controlled by Draco. So, anyways, I made I was reviewing Raven at the same time she was speaking through this person, and all of a sudden, without warning, my computer, like, the power died. And I was like, ah, shit. So I was kind of depressed about that. I lay down on my bed, and Raven basically decided to, make love. And it was more real than being there physically. I mean, she's nearly visible, nearly tangible, and it was one of the most intense erotic experiences I've had. And then when that was over, I came back and I saw that my computer cord was actually yanked out of the socket. So Raven actually yanked the cord out to give me some personal attention. And yeah, so that's how that went for a long time. Where you know, yeah, I remember like right after that, like I had to go on a store run, so Raven want to tag along because she definitely wants to know what's like on Earth. Well, she's been keeping tabs on me ever since that her intervention when I was in my 20s. Um, but she's the only thing she was wearing were her cybernetic limbs. um, and I remember like walking past a group of people, and Raven would look at me. She's like, it's like, what? You're the only one who can see me. So got to where my apartment was, and she basically like I unlocked the main gate, and she basically scaled the wall like it was nothing, and met me inside. So, um, see, alters can be multi cells. What are form are your alters? Third density or higher? Um, well, third density is like physical. It's third. Okay, this way. First density is mineral. Second is plant. Third is animal, and I think fourth is like civilized, like intelligence. This is my understanding, my interpretation of it, anyways. And then, like the fifth is like the non-physical. Does that make sense? Which is why get the whole like ascend to fifth dimension, which is people say that have no idea what a dimension is a density level, not a dimension. It sounds when you say fifth dimension, it sounds like the dialogue from a 50s sci-fi movie. Um, but the fifth density level is the non-physical, is the afterlife. So this whole push on ascending to 5D, it's part of the depopulation agenda. Um, so that's all of us when we reach the end of our mortal coil ascend to the fifth density level, and we descend back to the physical during the incarnation cycle. So, you know, yeah, um, hologram illusions. It can also be like psionic manipulation too, making you see things or misinterpreting things. And that's one way to it could be either or. Like, yeah, I think Tanya might have actually done some missions on Earth and not even known it because you know this is before she was on the Franklin, but basically Felicity put her in a VR, full immersion VR suit, and I think like might have actually trained her and making her think her mission on Earth was a VR simulation. um, so that wouldn't be surprised. I also heard from somebody that spotted like a clone of Tanya in New York and Here and Now, and that makes me wonder about Project Lazarus if they have like several of our copies of our alters living in the here and now who don't even know who or what they are. So makes you wonder when you encounter your double. Is it somebody who just looks like you, or could that person be your alter? So that's yeah, Draker. Yeah, yeah. I've had doppelganger. Well, you know, what could be the cause of the doppelganger, right? I've actually had an encounter with mine, which was interesting, to say the least. I don't want to give you guys too much information about that. Multi- well, I mean, your soul is basically like almost like a seventh density level in itself. So if you have part of you that's like very high density and part of you that's physical, 20 of them really. Um, are you sure those aren't altars? Because that would definitely explain that. And then again, the level of strangeness that goes on at the SSP, anything is possible. So, you know, I tend to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, unless they come forward publicly and say they made the shit up. I want to believe them, and some of the shit sounds totally crazy, but yeah, Leslie, that definitely sounds like you could have had a bunch of 20 in backs. Um, you know, I'm not questioning your interpretation. I'm just saying that there's a possibility. Um, but yeah. Geez, how long is this going on? Ooh, an hour, almost 2 hours. Shit. Wow, I'm on a record. Probably have to wrap this up. Hold on a second. Playing lyrics. This thing doesn't have lyrics. All right. I'll be right back. Oh, shitting me? Okay, plug your ears. All right. I'll be right over in a second. I am a glutton for punishment. Well, seriously, yeah. Yeah, Leslie, it definitely sounds like you have alters. That's what it seems like to me. It's like you have a bunch of cloned versions of yourself, but it's the same soul, more or less the same body. I mean, the only difference between me and Tanya was our chromosomes. And as I was saying, one of the things I've noticed is one of the reasons why they do like opposite sex alters, especially like taking male assets and putting them in female bodies. One thing that really tends to boil down is they're used for intelligence. For the intelligence aspect of the SSP. Like there's a friend of mine. You guys know James Rink. He hasn't gone public about this yet, so hopefully I didn't commit a sin. But he remembers having a female alter who's used as a spy. Tanya was a spy. Now it's interesting. There was a Tanya's contact in Darkfleet was a gentleman who went by the code name of Priest, who must have had a female alter later on, because when Tanya met up with that individual, that person was TG. Now, there's also an explanation to why people have gender dysphoria as well. Yes, yeah. I know, like, if like I've known several women who've had male alters as well. But yeah, when Tanya encountered the individual she knew as Priest and Darkfleet, this person was also male to female transgender, and there was one thing like I have a habit, especially with now I can go and talk about some strange shit in San Francisco, but there's one individual who was like in the here and now was an like basically a burnt spy, like a former intelligence asset, and this individual went from looking like Rucker Hauer to looking like Cheryl Ladd, and that person definitely, I would say, might have been involved in the SSP, and like there's like I've made so far at least like a half dozen connections between opposite sex alters and working as spies. So that's that's the connection that I've made. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon because it's okay. 10 more minutes, it'll be exactly 2 hours. They may have rehomed. Yeah, I would say so. But yeah, I'm one of the very vivid flashback I have from Tanya was being in in some sort of firefight at a spaceport, and I remember like it was Tanya, Priest, and there might have been a third person. I don't remember exactly, but he had this very customized starship, and I remember like running towards it in a firefight, and then launching, being chased by a scout carrier, and Priest got hit like, and I remember like hit some sort of like switch in the main control pad, and that caused all the planes in the main hull to kind of retract, and the outer skin was some sort of like programmable matter or particle projection technology. Is way more advanced than just a hologram. Basically shut off everything with basic life support and hid inside an asteroid belt, and for all intents and purposes his ship looked just like an asteroid. And when that carrier came over and scanned it, it read it as a piece of rock. And basically, I think like Priest died right there. The last thing he did was able to throw that cloaking tech on. So that was a very, very vivid flashback I had. Well, more power to you. I wish you luck in your endeavors, Leslie. It sounds like a very noble and worthwhile thing to do. You probably can't quite do that by yourself, but I'm sure you can find the assistance you need too. Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, jeez. How can be so heavy? Mostly fur. All right. Like, all right. And get Andromeda to join us. Yeah, she got her name because she's white as an Andromedan. So SSP vets get the inside joke. Hey, why don't you look at? Come here. Here we go. And I can totally appreciate why Persian cats are so valuable. Thank you. There are others. Are you making another Dark Fleet episode? Well, sure. Is when I find somebody to interview, I'd love to. One of the reasons why I went almost a year without making any YouTube videos is all the censorship bullshit. You know, it's like I don't want to get deplatformed for speaking the goddamn truth. It's fucking ridiculous. Now I'm thinking of joining like BitChute or Rumble, and I'm not sure about that. I'm tempted because like my first cat's name was Rumble, so I might, that could be a sign that I should open a Rumble account. What do you guys think? Well, you're talking about like multiple 20 backs. How do you define the past? Like I said, I'm not suggesting anything. Well, suggestion. I'm not saying it in fact, but I want the butterfly effect. Well, if you can astral project, Leslie, the astral plane linear time does not exist, and there's no reason why you can't possess your own body in the past. You can astral project to a previous time. You probably could achieve the butterfly effect, but the butterfly effect was meant as a warning. You change one little thing, it's like dominoes. Everything else will change, so you got to be aware of that. Yeah, time is strange. It feels like the quickening. Like time is moving way too fast than it should. It's like wake up in the morning, and it feels like 10 minutes have gone by and it's already night. Which makes you wonder if we exist in the Matrix, doesn't it? Like experiencing like entire lifetime in an hour or something in like full immersion virtual simulation. It might feel like time is moving faster than it's supposed to. Come here. All right. What are you looking at? Is that Tomcat coming around here? Oh, don't be a stranger. Yeah. So let's see. We got high energy frequency of light created consciousness. Material. Yeah. You think about like being incarnate. From this is the way I see it. I explain this when I get in conversations with Christians. Is imagine if God is a mirror, and that mirror is shattered into 7.5 billion little shards. Both the shards are those shards are our souls, basically, right? The mirror and the shards exist simultaneously, and that's a good way to explain it. Low, heavy energies can measure. Yeah, but well, it's not so much that, Leslie, is that one of the laws of the universe is that equilibrium must always be maintained. You know, you have to have equal parts good and evil, equal parts light and dark. Balance needs to be maintained, because you throw off that balance, everything slips into chaos. Um, it's like, you can have, especially like, if we're talking negativity coming from the light. Look at the whole love and light crowd, right? It's like, pretend the negativity doesn't exist. You're in for a very rude awakening if you think that that nothing bad exists. That's my problem with, like, especially the New Agers and the whole "Welcome, Space Brothers." Not all of them are nice. Right, like 95% of the ETs out there, you know, it's not so much that they're benevolent, is they just have no ill will towards you because they want to trade. You know, the five remaining, percent, definitely call evil. And it kind of make up for it because they either want to eat you or they're part of a death cult. And yeah, it's like, as nasty as Draco can be, there are worse things out there than Draco. Yeah, well, I'd say what you've been talking about is a belief system in a way. It might be unique to you, um, but you definitely have your own unique understanding of how the universe functions. That's cool. All right, we're approaching the 2 hour mark and 55 seconds. So I'm gonna close this up, and I have to do this on a regular basis probably. So all right. Actually, you know what? Okay. I've always wanted an excuse to do that. All right, and gonna. All right, I'm gonna end the stream. Toodaloo.